This show is presented by the 323 Network. You can watch all your favorite 323 friends and shows on the 323 Network YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms at 323read and support us as we continue to grow at patreon.com/323read. That's 323 REID. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 323. I am your host, Reed Murphy.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Look at the show. I'm the captain.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Fuck Scott.
That's right, folks. Welcome to another installment of College Shame Day, presented by the 323 Network. I am your host, Scott Ellia. And once again, I'm not by myself, but today, it's not Mark Morrison, but it is the Reed turn of the Mac, Reed Murphy. How you doing, Reed?
I'm doing good. I like the Reed turn. I like it. I made my coworker choke on water yesterday when I said something was the Reed mix. So I'm glad we can keep using my name for these things.
Oh boy, but how you doing today? This is for folks at home listening, this is a kind of an impromptu record. You know, we don't really do this in the middle of the day, so I don't know how to handle this right now.
It is weird. Yeah, it's weird having daylight around. Like I had to close the curtains for this, but I like it. It feels like, the kind of goal of a daytime show. We're getting daytime hours done. Again, subscribe to the 323 Network on YouTube where you can find this show and my show, the 323 with Reed Murphy. Did a fun interview about advanced aging that led into a nice Patriots rant. Got a good MMA interview. So it's going to be, it's fun stuff to do during the day.
Right. And it's like, I don't feel as rushed, because of course, when we traditionally record, it's a little bit later at night. And, there's other things we'd like to be doing other than ranting for 2 hours. So this is nice, but Reed, there's been a common thread happening in college football over this last week. Actually, let me just call in some backup really quick. That's shit. Right. We're gonna call in the Wambulance really quick because I don't know what the hell has been going on lately, but everyone in college football, especially these coaches, have been crying about this, that, and the fourth, and everything around. And where we're going to start is going to be in Miami. And that's going to be with Mario Cristobal and athletic director Dan Radakovich. Man, there's no better way to start than talking about this. Of course, for folks at home who weren't able to watch that amazing final minute of play in the Miami game last week, you would think with 33 seconds left on the clock, you would just kneel the ball. But no, not in Miami where they run rampant and just do things that nobody would expect. So they run the ball, and what happens, Reed? They fumble. They fumble, which ends up leading to the loss. What was it? 20 to they were up 20-17. So yeah, they lost 23-20.
Uh-huh.
But of course, replay officials, they made the right call, the fumble at the end. That did end up costing Miami the Hurricanes a victory over Georgia Tech last week. ACC supervisor of officials Alberto Riveron told ESPN on Wednesday that they did make the right call. Mario Cristobal and Dan Radakovich are coming out trying to make some sort of new rule to where something like this can't happen. Of course, like I said, rather than taking that knee with 33 seconds remaining, they went ahead and handed the ball off to running back Don Chaney Jr., who fumbled. A replay review was immediately initiated, which was nice to see, to determine whether Chaney's elbow was down before the fumble. And of course, it was not overturned.
Yeah.
Darn it. But hey, do we really care about Miami tears?
No, I mean, Miami tears are some of the best tears to enjoy, I think, because I think it was the BCS last week had them ranked number one in the country. And that obviously took a turn this week. And
right.
It sucks because I don't know how you feel about that fumble, but when I've seen the replays, I could see the argument that he was down, maybe, and that the officials got it wrong. Like it looked really tight, and you couldn't overrule it, no matter what. But the audacity of Mario Cristobal,
the balls on him.
He does this every year. He's good for this every year. It's like him and like Brett Venables. There's a lot of coaches that are good for like a stupid mistake every year, and you can get away with it. But this is like me playing Madden. This is shit that I do playing Madden, where I'm just like, I was like, fuck it. I'm up and everything. Let's just run it. You should take a knee. What rule do you need? What rule do you need to put in place? What rule are they trying to put in place to count against this? Is it something to do with the... Because nothing makes sense to me about it. Like, I'm actually worked up because, like, all you had to do was take a knee. There was some O-line coach who was off to the side saying, take a knee. And it's like, what do you want? And
and thankfully Mario Cristobal came out and, like, he's been very adamant that he understands he fucked up. And I think a lot of this is more or less coming from the athletic director, Dan Radakovich. But I think the only rule to put in place is if the team who has possession of the ball and it's under 45 seconds, which is normally around the time frame for a play clock, and if they're up, they don't have a choice. You have to automatically knee. Like, that's the only way to get around it. But you shouldn't have that kind of rule in place because it's just the sheer stupidity.
Yeah.
It's 33 seconds left. You're up by 3. There's no reason not to knee the ball. There isn't. And like, if I'm the quarterback of Miami and if I'm a team and I'm hearing this and I know that's stupid, I'm not listening to the coach at that point. No. I'm taking the knee and we're getting the win.
And that's why no one would approve the rule. Because why would the people in charge at Georgia Tech approve a rule? Because that's the only way you're getting a win against a team like Miami, is because you can count on a Mario Cristobal to do some stupid shit every now and then to give you a pickup win and just shake everything up. I never felt... The only people I feel bad for are those players. Like those O-linemen that were like crying profusely on the sideline because that happened. And the balls of Cristobal. It's just everything because...
Cristobals.
We watched this show, Our Flag Means Death, on HBO Max, and this one character was talking about Blackbeard, and everybody was... He made this big apology to his crew, and everybody was cool with it, and they were saying, well, he apologized, and somebody pointed out, did you ever hear the words, I'm sorry? Did he actually ever say, I'm sorry? Because I feel like you need that in an apology. And the only thing I've seen from Cristobal is his offensive coordinator taking the blame for it and saying that I was in charge of play calling on that, and I called for the run play. But if you're the head coach, I get delegating play calling duties, but it's a kneel. If you're a head coach, you would say, hey, back up for a second, buddy. Bucko, we're going to take a knee right here.
Bucko. Things that sound racist but aren't. No, you're 100% correct, because if it was the OC's call to make that, if I'm Mario Cristobal and I'm hearing that coming through the headset, I'm like, no, you fucking idiot. It's 30 seconds left. We're not doing that. I'm overruling you. We're kneeing it. It's almost as if, like, if you're Georgia Tech and you're down by 3 with that much time left, you throw the ball. You're not going to run it with 20 seconds left to try to get a touchdown. You're going to throw the ball.
And it's not like they were playing against like some big rival of sorts in, FSU or like Florida or anything. It's Georgia Tech. Why do you need to keep going? What do you need to prove? Is there something, maybe gambling lines? I don't know. Allegedly. I'm not saying anything.
I don't know.
I'm just saying. That should be a new segment. I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, but the other thing too is that, like, it's not like Georgia Tech was set up in really great field position either. They still went four plays for 74 yards in that last 20 seconds. So it's like, okay, you fucked up, great, but get your defense locked in and don't let them score. So you let that go, it just makes it even worse. And then Miami fumbles again. End the game.
That one goes again. That one just went into the shadows. Nobody cared at that point. Not even the Miami players were even still on the field at that point.
Fuck. Boy, that's enough Miami talk. Fuck them. I laughed the whole, I think like 2 or 3 days after that. Just laughed so much. But yeah, we're going to keep the thread of the Wambulance coming through, and we're going to go a little bit further north. And there's like a little bit of a showdown going on right now between Mark Stoops and Kirby Smart. I don't know if you saw this, Reed, but of course, Kirby Smart coming off that victory over the Kentucky Wildcats 51-13. But Kentucky coach Mark Stoops publicly pleading for more money for his program.
What?
So a quote that he went out saying, I don't know if you saw this, was, "I can promise you, Georgia, they bought some pretty good players. You're allowed to these days, and we could use some help. That's what they look like. You know what I mean when you have 85 of them. I encourage everybody that's disgruntled to pony up some more." So pretty much calling for the fan base of Kentucky to start siphoning in more money so that way they can go buy some players.
Again, not to summon the team up, but Mark Stoops, you're not at Georgia Tech. You're at the University of Kentucky. I know they're not a football school, but they've been pretty good the last few years, and it's like one of the biggest basketball. It is, I would argue, the biggest basketball school.
Top three.
Top two, no matter what. They have money. What are you talking about?
Shifted around a little bit. And of course, Kirby Smart comes out in response to saying, "No reaction. It's much ado about nothing." I think Mark is trying to garner interest for money from his fan base for his collective, and we're all trying to do the same in terms of trying to get money for the collective. Mark and I talked about NIL pregame, and we talked about it in our meeting. I'm not biting on that. So he pretty much saying, I'm not even gonna acknowledge what Mark Stoops is saying, because he's right. Everybody has the same issue now. It's not like we're having to worry about McDonald's bags anymore with cash in it, or people happen to have all Chrysler 300s on campus. It's like it's blatantly out in the open that you can pay to play, and everyone has to deal with it now. So, oh well. But Reed, it wouldn't be College Shame Day without it seemingly to be the same thread every single week. And that's Colorado and Coach Wine Time. Coach Prime Time, Deion Sanders. Sorry, my mistake. He's not a fan of these late night games, Reed. Came out saying, who makes these 8 o'clock games? Dumbest thing ever. Stupidest thing ever invented in life.
Wait,
who
what
wants
time?
to stay up until 8 o'clock? Huh?
8 o'clock?
He's bitching and moaning about the 8 o'clock start times for games. He said this on Wednesday on Buff's Primetime, their little podcast radio show that they do. Went on further to say, what about the East Coast? Do they even care about ratings? Is anyone watching it? What are we supposed to do with the kids all day until 8 o'clock? What are we supposed to do in the hotel? Figure it the fuck out. Like, this is when I'm starting to get annoyed now with Colorado, because it's like the sheer audacity and the holier than thou attitude they're starting to get. You are in Colorado. Your fan base is in Colorado, Mountain Time and West Coast time. That's when your main fan base is going to be up watching the game. People in the East Coast, yeah, we don't give a fuck. We have our own teams that we like to root for. If you happen to be on when there's a game that I don't want to watch, cool, I'll watch it. But like, it blows my mind. It seems like every week something new comes out of Colorado where he feels like he should have free pick. Especially like the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Like the people who run the Peach Bowl are saying they want Colorado. First off, they got to get to 6 wins to be bowl eligible. And secondly, okay, that doesn't mean that you're going to get like prime viewership. It's so annoying now. It's starting to get it too much. I don't know how you feel, Reed, or maybe I'm just going crazy.
I mean, you would imagine somebody like Deion, who has been, played football forever, played in primetime game, is literally named primetime. 8 o'clock is primetime. That's not late night. 8 o'clock is primetime. And to complain, what are you supposed to do with the kids all day? I don't know. Fucking hype them up. Go over film.
Watch some tape.
You do this all the time. You've been doing it for years. What do you complain? What is this Wambulance? I like the Wambulance, Scott. This is sports radio that you've developed right here. Yelling about these things and about people whining. Oh, I love it.
And he's making it seem like it's only affecting Colorado and college football. You see this everywhere. Hell, we just had football playing at 9 o'clock in the morning because they're over in London right now. Do you see any of these teams bitching and moaning?
I complain about that more than late night. I'd rather stay up than wake up before a game.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's like you see it in college basketball. You see it all across college sports. You see it across all professional sports about people having to play different times the times of the day. It is what it is.
I don't think that you're wrong at all for the Dion and the Coach Prime fatigue at this point. The thing about Colorado, and I enjoy what Prime is trying to do, especially for black coaches and for himself. All right, you can say selfish, but yeah, he wants to become one of these major coaches, and he's doing it. He's being a success, but it's the bitching and moaning about everything is personal. Shedeur Sanders jumping in there going, he talked about my daddy. They talked about my daddy. This is personal. Yeah, he's the coach. He's talking shit about everybody else. And it's not even to the point that teams are even talking about them. They're yelling at I don't even remember who Arizona State's coach is now, but they were yelling.
Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah, they were yelling at Dillingham. He was like, I didn't know what I said. I wasn't sure what I said. And Shedeur Sanders is running across the student section of Arizona State, flashing a $70,000 watch at these kids. Like it's just, you're seeing it passed down, and it's annoying.
Right. And especially with a team like Arizona State, that's a team that Colorado should have a lot more talent than, and you barely squeak away on the road by 3 points. But you're correct. This is where a lot of my beef with the Colorado quote unquote fan base comes in my Instagram rants and the fights that I have with these folk. It's like, God forbid that anybody speaks up against Colorado at this point for any kind of reason. It can be perceived as negative. It's just, you're going to be the social pariah at this point. Yeah. But fuck them. They're still 4-2 on the season. They got waxed by Oregon. They got waxed by USC. I don't care if they put up 41. USC's defense is suspect. And they still got UCLA, Oregon State, Washington State, and Utah on the road, all 4 of which are in the top 25. So there's a very strong chance where they only come back with 1 more win, maybe 2 for the rest of the season. But I don't know what they need to do. They need a slice of humble pie out there because it's just getting to be too much. Okay. I'm not going to join the Wambulance. I'm done.
We'll take a breath.
Let's get into a little bit of a recap read with this past week. It was a fun one, with all due respect. Like we talked about, Georgia, number 1, crushing number 20 Kentucky at home, 51-13. Michigan keeps looking dominant in their road victory, 52-10 over Minnesota. I don't know, Reed, if you caught this game, but I was watching it and I was on the edge of my seat this whole time. Number 12 Oklahoma traveling to Texas, beating them 34-30 in the Red River rivalry game.
That's my favorite rivalry game in sports. That was so fun.
And I'm still very impressed. The number of times that I've actually said that rivalry game's name the last couple of weeks, and I haven't botched it. I've gotten on the first go. Is great. But I think that's going to have huge implications as far as not only the Pac-12, as far as the Big 12 goes, but also potential college football playoff implications with that victory. So more to come there. I was hoping that they were going to actually squeak it out. Maryland falling to Ohio State 37-17. I guess once Ohio State and Ryan Day got to the locker room at halftime, they're like, I guess we should start playing and not have it be tied 10-10 going into the second half. But hey, it is what it is. Florida State coming off their bye week over Virginia Tech, 39-17. USC almost dropping another game and barely squeaking away with a victory, 43-41 over Arizona. Reed, I don't know what the hell. I guess their offense is just that overpowered to be able to make up for their lack of production on defense.
Absolutely nothing on defense, and that will bite any team in the ass.
Especially when you go to triple overtime versus Arizona. Like, what the fuck? And you're supposed to be a college football playoff team? I mean, granted, Caleb Williams is still going to do Caleb Williams things. I still feel like he could still easily win the Heisman, even with the team kind of lagging behind. But, it's been no surprise even going into the season that the offense was definitely more overpowered than their defense. But
exactly.
Whatever.
And it's one thing for it to happen against Arizona, but then you're going to start to be playing your number 10, and you're going to start playing teams like Notre Dame, which who knows what Notre Dame is going to do necessarily, but Utah is the week after. Like, you're really fucking up any chances. You've got your one strike. If from there on you're not getting you lose another game, it's not happening.
Right. I mean, you got to look after the Stanford win where they won 58-10. They allowed Arizona State to put up 28 on them. They let Colorado put up 41, and they let Arizona just put up 41. And like you said, their schedule is not going to get any easier. Of course, we'll get into it in a little bit, but like you said, they got Notre Dame this week, and then they got Utah, and then they close out the season to get Washington, Oregon, UCLA. It does not get easier.
Nope.
All these teams are within the top 20 of college football. So we'll see. Moving on, talk about Notre Dame. They dropped one against Louisville, 33-20. So congrats to Louisville. Fuck Notre Dame. Alabama still hanging on. There's a real possibility they could end up getting back into the college football playoff conversation with their victory over Texas A&M 26-20, moving on to being 5-1 on the season, 3-0 in the SEC. Hate to say it, even on a down year for Saban, it seems like they could still squeak in, but more to come there. Moving back over to the Pac-12, UCLA over Washington State, 25-17. I think this is going to be starting to be the descent of the Cinderella story in Washington State and everyone there. So, poor little guys. UNC winning very, very just impressively over Syracuse, 40-7. Oregon State over Cal, 52-40. Ole Miss over Arkansas, 27-20. Arkansas has been a team that's been very underwhelming. I had them a lot higher in my book going into the season, and they seem to keep dropping a lot of these close games. I still believe in KJ Jefferson, the quarterback in Arkansas. I really feel his talent level is head and shoulders over a lot of folks in the SEC, and I just think that team overall is just holding him behind. So hopefully he can be able to still do enough to be able to move on to the next level at the NFL. We already talked about Miami. Fuck them. We're not going over them again. LSU over Missouri, 49-39. And to round it out, Wyoming. Congrats to Josh Allen and everyone from Wyoming. They won 24-19 over Fresno State. Man, what a week. What a week indeed. But a lot of those games had. It's going to affect the Shameful Eight, Reed. There's been some movements.
I'm curious. I want to hear it. Let's find out who are these 8.
That's right, folks. The wildest show this side of the Mississippi, the Shameful 8. Scott's top 8 college football programs as of right now. Because I think this is the 3rd week we've been going at this, Read, and I think it's been different every single time.
I think so.
But that's fine. That's college football sport.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm going to have to eat some crow here in a little bit, but we're going to start at number 8 and work our way up. Number 8, I have the Oregon Ducks. Nation's top offense. They're averaging 51.6 points a game, and a top 5 defense only allowing about 11.8 points a game. Looking dominant, but of course they play this week against number 7 Washington, and they also have Washington State, Utah, USC, Oregon State left to play, which are all the top 25. And this just seems to be a common thread with all these Pac-12 teams. They're all starting to play each other now, and this is where anything could happen. So I'm excited to see what happens from here. Moving on to 7, we got Penn State. They haven't really played anyone aside from when they played Iowa, and they were ranked even 24. I feel like they weren't even. I didn't think they really deserved to be even ranked 24, let alone ranked in the top 25. But they crushed them 31-0. I mean, the defense is looking strong. They're only allowing about 9.5 points a game. Offense is scoring about a little over 40. But of course, they still have Ohio State and Michigan left on their schedule. So let's see if they can stay in the top 8 or make a final push for the college football playoff. Moving on to 6, we have the Washington Huskies. And their offense is just lighting it up. Michael Penix Jr. I think he is starting to be the clear favorite for the Heisman Trophy as it stands right now. That offense is scoring 46 points a game, only allowing about 18. Like we just said, they have that marquee matchup where College Game Day is going to play Oregon, and they still have USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State left on the schedule as well, so more to come there. This is where a team that wasn't on my radar is finally making their way into the top 8. and that is the Oklahoma Sooners after their impressive victory over Texas. You got Dylan Gabriel there really lighting it up. I mean, they're crushing teams this year. They're averaging about 45 points a game, only allowing about 14. Like we mentioned earlier, I think that victory over Texas is going to play huge into the Big 12 title and also the college football playoff berth as well. Going back to the Big 10, we're going to go with Ohio State. They haven't really impressed me that much, Reed. I mean, I don't know about you, but really the biggest win they have is that 17-14 victory over Notre Dame in the last minute when Notre Dame didn't have all 11 players on the field. But their offense is only scoring about 35 points a game. They're allowing about 10. So I really don't see them getting over the hump of Michigan, let alone Michigan and Penn State this year. I don't know about you.
No, I think Michigan ends the whole thing for them.
Right. Going into number 3, and this is where my bias is going to be showing a little bit. I'm going to have Florida State Seminoles here at number 3. Their defense needs to tighten up. Yes, their offense is top tier, scoring about 42 points a game, but they've also been allowing about 21 points a game, especially with their schedule coming down the pipeline and some of the implications going on in the ACC where them, Louisville, and UNC, if they all were to stay undefeated at the end of the year, and their big mix-up now with their scheduling process, there's going to be some interesting conversations to be had as far as who's going to be playing for the ACC title. Because a lot of those tiebreakers aren't going to apply to them at that point, but we'll see down the pipeline. And this is where I'm going to eat my crow. I took them out of my top 8 last week. I'm going to put them back in my top 8 this week, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm sorry, Georgia. I'm sorry. Make me put some respect back on their name with their blowout victory over Kentucky. Brock Bowers I don't have him in my Heisman watch. We'll go over that here in a little bit, but he has been impressive this year. If anybody who's not a quarterback can make a decent enough conversation for the Heisman, it's going to be him, because he is just lighting it up.
He gets me very excited about the draft next year.
Especially with someone like you, who that team could use a very stable tight end, especially in Washington. So we'll see where he goes. And number 1, it's no surprise, it's Michigan. Absolutely dominating everybody. They're scoring about 37, 38 points a game. This past week, a team finally put up double digits on them. They're only allowing about 6 points a game, and I don't see them slowing down. Of course, I think Michigan's going to also just Michigan in the college football playoff, and they're going to botch it somehow, like they always seem to do, but there's no denying that they're number 1 right now. And that's the Shameful Eight. See what happens this week. But that's enough about this past week, Reed. Let's look into see what's going on in the future. First off, really close Heisman race and a couple of different changes. Like I said, Michael Penix Jr. is still sitting at number 1 in my book. He had a bye last week. He's put up just under 2,000 yards at 1,999 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Followed by Caleb Williams, who had a very lackluster game last week, going 14 for 25, 200 yards, and 1 touchdown. Moving to the season of over 1,800 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, and an interception. Number 3, also, there's really no change. This is where I'm going to have Bo Nix. He also had a bye week last week. Same thing there, a little over 1,450 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, and an interception. And this is where the change happens. I'm taking Cam Ward out after Washington State dropping that game last week. And this is where Dylan Gabriel is going to get a little bit of love, because he's been sneakily hiding under that radar. On the season so far, he's posted 141 for 195, 1,800 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. One of those touchdowns coming last week against Texas. I think if Oklahoma is going to keep the momentum going with how they're doing now, I don't see how he doesn't keep moving up that board. And then we're also going to show a little bit of bias, and we're going to keep Jordan Travis in the top 5 because fuck everybody else. Florida State's the only thing who matters. Posted 18 for 24, 170 yards and 2 touchdowns last week, moving to just under 1,200 yards passing on the year, 12 touchdowns and an interception also on the year. Hopefully they can turn it up a little bit for him to make some kind of final push for the Heisman, but with the 4 guys ahead of him and some of the ones that we're not mentioning, like Shedeur Sanders, who just keeps getting stats. And then Brock Bowers, like we just mentioned, who could probably sneak in there. I don't think he's going to have to, I don't think he's going to be able to hold on anytime soon. But that gets us to the, let's get the lame of the week out of the way, Reed, because it's already been done. It was so lame this week. The game's already happened.
It's literally out of the way.
Last week, to recap, we had OD Utes traveling to Southern Mississippi, and they beat Southern Miss 17-3. And this week, the lame game of the week was Louisiana Tech traveling to Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee won 31-23. Who cares? But the game of the week, we've already mentioned a couple times on the show today, folks, and that was number 20 Kentucky traveling to number 1 Georgia. Georgia winning 51-13. And they did what I told them they needed to do, was isolate Ray Davis and take him out of the game. Only posted 15 carries for 59 yards, no touchdowns. Carson Beck looking like he's filling that Stetson Bennett role really well, posting 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. But like we mentioned, a lot of that production going straight through that big tight end, Brock Bowers. 7 receptions, 132 yards, 1 touchdown. Reed, do you see him potentially making that final push for the Heisman if he keeps up that production?
I mean, you would like to see somebody like Bowers get that push, but just the position isn't sexy unless you're dating Taylor Swift, and it's just he won't get that consideration. But I think in the hearts of people who are truly watching, they will know. You will you watch him play, in any Georgia game, that's where the dominance is coming in. I mean, you saw it in just a national championship game. It still kind of echoes.
Right. But that moves on to this week. And Reed, you've already been tipped off on where College Shame Day is going to be traveling this week for the College Shame Day game of the week. We're not going to the Oregon-Washington game like ESPN College Game Day is going. And we're not even going to be going to the USC Notre Dame game this week. No. Funds are tight. We can't be blowing money on these elaborate cross-country flights anymore. We're going to keep it a little bit more regional. We're going to travel just south to Chapel Hill and go to the Miami UNC game. Really, I don't give a fuck if Miami wins. The only reason I'm rooting for them is so that way it breaks up the potential 3-way tie like we talked about before in the ACC between Florida State, UNC, and Louisville. Really, the biggest key for Miami right now is to don't do anything stupid like you did last week. UNC is not the team to do that with. They are very scary. Drake May is performing very, very well this year. And I think for UNC, it's just to really feed their big running back, Hampton, the ball. He's posted about 480 yards, 7 touchdowns. Trust Drake May a little bit more. Yeah, he's posted 4 interceptions on the year, but I think with all the debauchery and the debacle and the insane coaching ability in Miami, I think this is where they can get exposed and get knocked out of the top 25. So I think this week everyone's a Tar Heel fan.
Everybody. You have to be. There's no problem with that.
But to close out the show, folks, we're going to move on to the funnest segment. I think, Reed, I think I'm bold enough to say not only just here on College Shame Day, but I'm going to say just in general. ESPN College Game Day. I'm going to say I'll even put it up against Ricks versus Gricks.
Ooh.
I'll put it up against you.
I honestly would. And the only thing that might, go along against it is, Pat McAfee making poor college kids try to, kick 33-yard field goals for $1 million.
You know what? I think I got to implement that somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we'll do it. But folks, for those of you who are new, I'm talking about the Wheel of Degenerate. That's right. The Wheel of Degenerate, where we take all top 25 games on. Reed, what is going on with this audio today?
I don't know.
It's like the 5th time it's cut out.
This sound really wants to go. Like, this one really wants to go for it.
You know what? I'm not going to let it go. Now it's just the purpose of it. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. Well, nope, there it goes again. You know what? Screw it, folks. We're doing it live.
We're doing it live.
Or fuck it, we'll do it live. But that's right, folks. Wheel Degenerate will take all top 25 team games for the week, throw it in a wheel, spin it 5 times, trust the fates, build a 5-pick parlay off of it, try to win a little bit of money. We haven't been successful yet this year so far. Last week, to recap, we had Fresno State -6, Notre Dame -6.5. Both of those missed. But we did hit Oregon State -7.5, Alabama -2.5, and Arizona +21. I listened to myself this week, Reed. I wasn't going to get bit 3 weeks in a row trying to have USC cover. And sure as shit, they proved me right, and they didn't cover.
I was watching for that one, and I was just hating to see. I was like, they're not going to do it. They can't possibly do it again.
No. And for those who are new, I will not be giving you my picks on these 5 games. The only place to find those will be Saturday mornings, around 10 or 11. Depends on when I want to give it to you.
Yeah.
I'll give you my pick, see how much money we're going to make. So if you want to follow that, go find 323 College Shame Day on Instagram. You can find that through at 323read, also on Facebook and Instagram as well. So if you want to lose some money with me, love the company. At least I'm not by myself.
It's like drinking. You never want to drink alone. You don't want to gamble and lose money alone.
Exactly. And there's some really good games going on this week, Reed. We got number 1 Georgia traveling to Vanderbilt. Got Indiana traveling to number 2 Michigan. Number 3 Ohio State at Purdue. Syracuse going to number 4 Florida State. Arkansas at number 11 Alabama. Cal traveling to 16 Utah. UMass, which is one of the worst college football programs in the country right now, going to number 6 Penn State. The ESPN College Game Day Game of the Week, number 8 Oregon at number 7 Washington. Texas A&M at number 19 Tennessee. 23 Kansas at Oklahoma State. Upset alert. Calling it now. 14 Louisville at Pittsburgh. Arizona at number 19 Washington State. Auburn at number 22 LSU. And first quick fucking second, Read. How does LSU keep getting away with this?
You got to ask Emily.
This is like one of the worst Power 5 teams in the top 25. And they're still there. Like, they're still hanging on. If that doesn't show you clear SEC bias, I don't know what does. Same thing with Notre Dame. They both posted 2 losses on the year, but the 2 losses for Notre Dame are a little bit more, I don't know, top tier versus LSU's 2 losses, but I digress. Anyways. And then after that, number 10 USC at number 21 Notre Dame. Number 25 Miami at number 12 UNC. College Shame Days Game of the Week. Wrapping it up, Missouri at number 24 Kentucky. Number 18 UCLA at number 15 Oregon State. Another really great game. I'm going to be watching that one pretty close. And then to wrap it up, NC State at number 17 Duke. And folks who are listening, if you want to actually see this beautiful top tier quality wheel, Reed, where can they find us?
The 323 Network on YouTube, of course. You can find the full Wheel of Degenerates. You can get a full MMA interview. You got plenty of stuff. And just, we're so beautiful. And we're matching. We're both wearing green.
We are. We're both wearing green. You know what else is the color green, Reed?
What?
Money. Let's win some.
Yeah.
On the first spin. The first game on the College Shame Day Wheel of Degenerate betting slip is, oh, God. Number 1 Georgia going to Vanderbilt.
Making that poor audience clap for that.
I'm very interested to see what the line's at on that one. See if it's even worth trying to cover. Come on, Fates, give me a good one. Going on to number 2. God.
It's just
all right.
Simple.
Another stinker. Number 3, Ohio State at Purdue. I don't know, though. Like, Ohio State, like I said, haven't been really impressing me very much. So, and Purdue's one of those sneaky teams that seem to upset somebody during, each and every year. Here we go. Now I got to start thinking a little bit.
That's a good
Looks like we are traveling to the West Coast, Reed.
There we go.
That's right. Third game on the ticket is number 8 Oregon at number 7 Washington. There we go.
That's a good one.
Get them off the board. Oh, boy.
The Phil Knight School of Uniform Academics.
I'm actually really interested to watch that game. It should be a good one. And I guess we're just going to stay in the state of Washington. Washington doubleheader. Arizona at number 19 Washington State.
Arizona again. Arizona at Washington State.
We had Arizona and USC last week. So it's like, I don't know what the Fates are trying to tell me. But on to number 5, just to recap, number 1, Georgia at Vanderbilt. Number 3, Ohio State at Purdue. Number 8, Oregon at number 7, Washington. Unranked Arizona at number 19, Washington State. And we're wrapping it up with Missouri at number 24, Kentucky. Wow.
Kentucky
this is going to be...
stays showing up.
Kentucky keeps showing up. A lot of these teams keep showing up. I mean, I guess it could be worse. Colorado could be on here.
That's true.
But I digress. But folks, that is it for this week's installment of College Shame Day. Reed, thank you so much to join me on this Brunch Time Scott show.
Of course. I like there's something about the daytime that we just get nice and worked up talking about all these different things. And just to close the loop for you, the Georgia Bulldogs are 31.5-point favorites in that game against Vanderbilt. So have fun.
Oh God. I'm tempted to give Vandy the points.
That's what Vegas likes. That's what Vegas likes to hear.
I'm tempted to give him the points. Oh, but thank you, Reed, for closing that loop. And again, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all at home for joining us as well. Like we mentioned before, you can find exclusive coverage of college football on Instagram page 323 College Shame Day. You can also dip into the latest Ricks versus Gricks episode at 323 Reed, where Zoo is in peak form over the last couple of weeks. I don't know what's gotten into him. But for those
Zahir Ali of the Animation Deliberation podcast that you can go find wherever you get podcasts, which is almost like programmed in my head to say word for word, has just been on another level. And last night was just more growth to that. I don't think we've peaked.
No, not yet. Not yet. But you can find that wherever podcasts are found, like Reed said. And again, thank you all for joining us. Have a shameful day.